Let me know in the comment section below, should I continue sending Donald Trump's craziest Truth Social posts to all of my Trump supporter friends from high school? There are a lot of apolitical people I went to high school with that don't really pay attention to politics closely, but when it's election time, I see them posting Trump 2024 on their story, but when I ask them if they've seen anything he said over the past few years, they say, no, I don't really follow it, I just don't like Democrats. So, lately, I've been sending my friends from high school, my old friends, every single post that Donald Trump makes. I've been sending them videos of Donald Trump saying he wants to jail people who burn the American flag, which is authoritarian and goes against our First Amendment right, and it's really funny watching these people squirm and try to play defense when they clearly don't know the first thing about politics, the first thing about January 6th. There was a while there where I was nice to them, I didn't really bring it up, they're my old friends from high school, but now, if you're going to be voting for a dictator, you deserve the pressure, you deserve all the pressure. Before I read this and break down Trump's meltdown, let's watch this new clip of Donald Trump.
Any government agencies. I have zero trust in our Congress and our Senate, anything.
We have
a government that's not functioning right now.
Yeah.
How are you going to gain the trust back of the American people within the government? And are we going to see anybody held accountable?
Yeah. The answer is yes on the second. They're going to be held accountable. They've got to be held accountable. What they're doing, they're destroying this country. They're crooked people. They're dishonest people. They're going to be held accountable.
For somebody who claims that Democrats are weaponizing the justice system to target political opponents, Donald Trump sure does talk about getting revenge or holding his opponents accountable a lot. Meanwhile, whenever VP Harris and Tim Walz are asked about Donald Trump's court cases, they say, we'll leave it up to the courts. We have nothing to do with that. We just have to vote in November. So I want to ask, what's the difference between a candidate who constantly undermines every single court, every single judge, the judge's daughter, every single election that they lose, versus the candidate who says, number one, if I lose this election, I respect it, and number two, let's leave it up to the courts, it is not up to us. Here's another clip of Donald Trump in Detroit talking about RFK Jr. Lord have mercy.
Right now, 3 days ago, I was honored to receive the endorsement of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We're very proud. Thank you.
Quite the honor.
We're very proud to welcome Bobby to our cause. He's really a terrific guy. He's a terrific person.
Again, MAGA will try to convince you that people like Donald Trump, people like RFK Jr., people like Rudy Giuliani or Mike Lindell, that is the real Republican Party, apparently. That is the party of family values. Meanwhile, people like Mitt Romney or people like John McCain, people who have actually fought for this country, they are rhinos in Donald Trump's eyes. Now, let's go through Donald Trump's Truth Social. I don't do this often, but I actually think it's good to broadcast some of Donald Trump's craziest Truth Social posts. I've been thinking about it, and I'm beginning to think that he benefits from being banned on Twitter. And just hear me out for a second. As I was saying earlier, all of my apolitical friends who don't quite pay attention to politics but vote red because their parents do, they don't see any of Donald Trump's wild posts because they're kind of hidden away from the public. But every time I send them a Donald Trump post where he's melting down on Truth Social, even my Republican friends will say, that is kind of cringe. Does this guy whine all the time like that? And I go, yes, Donald Trump whines all the time, but it's kind of hidden away. So let's go through what Donald Trump's been saying. Just an hour ago, he said, it's always fake with Kamala. And keep in mind, this is in all caps. It's always fake with Kamala. We're dominating her on social media, so she makes up a fake list of her numbers versus my numbers. All of our engagement is real and organic, while Kamala has to pay to fake her engagement. We're beating her, quote, like a drum, like we'll beat her on November 5th. It's all fake. The projection to me is mind-boggling. Donald Trump is the one who always fakes stuff, fakes publicity stunts, and grifts, so he decides to accuse his opponent of faking numbers when VP Harris really doesn't do, VP Harris doesn't care. Anything Donald Trump has said, any nickname, any attack, it is just bounced off Kamala Harris. She literally does not care, and that is what I love about her. Hillary Clinton, back in 2016, played a defensive campaign where the entire time she was reacting to stuff Donald Trump said. She was defending herself, saying, that's not true. Kamala Harris doesn't even bite in the first place. Kamala Harris just launches attacks back. Donald Trump also said about an hour ago, the gag order applied by a highly conflicted acting Justice Merchan is horrible and un-American. Is Donald Trump talking about himself here? I am the leading candidate in the election, having beaten all Republicans and now beating the second Democratic nominee, Comrade Kamala Harris. I'm going to say this again. This is a terrible, terrible nickname. You can do better, Donald Trump, who was put in as a result of a coup against crooked Joe Biden. He's so mad. When asked about the lawless Manhattan DA hoax, I am not allowed to talk about the most important and corrupt aspects of it because of the completely unconstitutional gag order. I am the first candidate in American history who is not allowed to freely speak about a major witch hunt. I just cannot believe this is a real human being sitting there typing all this stuff. You can tell someone else had to check this one over because there aren't many typos. But Donald Trump, again, continues this authoritarian move of undermining every single institution around him. That is all that he exists to do at this point, is to sow distrust in every single institution so his MAGA movement, mainly him, can have unilateral power. Think about it. If Donald Trump can make half the country think that the CIA is corrupt, the FBI is corrupt, the Department of Education is corrupt, if he can convince a large amount of the country that all of these institutions are corrupt, but he is not corrupt, then he can get voted in and he can begin to tear down these institutions with nobody really caring. I mean, we'll care, but the half of the country that voted him in will say, elections have consequences, as we say back to them. I finally want to end this video with something I just love to do. Stay tuned for just a few more minutes because these national polls are going to blow your mind. Ever since RFK dropped out, the gap is only widening and widening with VP Harris and Donald Trump. If we go back to exactly a month ago on July 28th, VP Harris was up by 0.2 points. But as we get more polling, as she sinks more money into the swing states, we are ahead. I mean, look at all of this blue right here. A YouGov poll, Harris +2, Harris +2. Qantas polls today, Harris +2. There's more showing her +3, +1, +4, +5. Trump is up every once in a while, but I just want to say that the overall trend with this polling is absolutely amazing, and I can't wait until the debate. The debate is about 2 weeks away, and I truly think that VP Harris can flip this race around in a way that we wanted President Biden to, but he just unfortunately couldn't for one reason or another. I mean, look at this chart right here. It says, do Americans have a favorable or unfavorable opinion of Kamala Harris? And if we go back to 2021, there was a slight favorable opinion, and then as Biden got more unpopular, the Biden administration in general got more unpopular, we see the unfavorability rating increase and increase and increase, and then it hits a peak, especially after the Biden administration took a lot of heat for the Israel-Palestine handling. You can see it gets bad, unfavorable 52%, and then we see a massive swap right here. The favorability rating and the unfavorability rating are now neck and neck. There's only about a 2 percentage point difference, and that is a function of VP Harris being more visible, being in the public eye more often. Again, she has sunken millions of dollars into key swing states. She has gone viral on TikTok over and over. People now know more about her personality. People now like her and Tim Walz as a duo, so I do think all of these things are playing into the favorability rating increasing, and as we have more visibility on the two candidates over the next 60 days, 70 days, I really think that will help VP Harris's odds. What I'm saying is that if you put Kamala Harris on a stage and you put Donald Trump on a stage right next to them and you compare the two, you have the American people compare the two, I genuinely think America is smart enough to know the difference between a criminal who is trying to grift his way into the presidency versus somebody who has worked their entire lives and is honestly overqualified. That is VP Harris.